What's up, Internet, and welcome to the YieldTomato Gaming channel for a pickups video that is incredibly late. Basically, right after we got back from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, we ended up, I don't know, we had a lot of family things that started happening, like a lot of family wanting to get together, and we lost almost all of our free time that we really had to a lot of family gatherings for the holidays, more so than usual. And then, of course, the longer you put something off, the harder it is to start up and do. Which is why it's taken me until mid to late February to do this. But this is our pickups from the Portland Retro Video Game Expo 2017. Gotta be specific because we're in 2018 now. But there'll be one of those too. Like, way, way down the road. So, without further ado, let's begin with the PlayStation 1 titles. Now, this first one here is kind of an odd one because we didn't get the first one, and that would be Chocobo Dungeon 2 for the PlayStation 1 from Squaresoft. This is a weird sub-series that's actually, I don't want to say it's gotten a resurgence, because it really hasn't. But it's had a number of titles somewhat recent. On the DS, we had the Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo Tales. And we had on the Wii, Chocobo Mystery Dungeon. Which, I mean, they were all very unique and fun games in their own right. But they were accessible to all ages. Unlike a lot of Final Fantasy games end up being. But, I've always wanted to get my hands on this, because I really enjoyed Fables, even though it was really intended for kids. And Chocobo Dungeon, Mystery Dungeon was a fun one too, so figured, you know, let's complete this. And I also have a sub goal of getting every Squaresoft released title, like all of them, before their merger, and just so I can, I don't know, take like my own retrospective look and see like the company's changes before the merger and the changes post merger, that kind of thing. This is kind of the thing I've always wanted to look into a little bit. This next one here is actually kind of a upgrade. So my friend that owns a local game store got a copy of Clock Tower 2 in Once Upon a Time. It was just the disc in the case, with the backing and everything, but didn't have the manual. And he just handed it to me when I was in one time. I was like, oh, I'm really not that interested, because it doesn't have the manual. If it had the manual, I'd totally be down to buy it. And he just looked at me, he's like, no, I'm giving it to you. Take it. At which point I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to say no, thank you so much, because this game is impossible to find. So this last year at the Retro Show, there were a couple copies that popped up. I think there were 3 copies that I ended up seeing in total at the entirety of the show over the course of 2 to 3 days. One of which was brand new, which I didn't want brand new because I want to be able to play it. And then I just ended up buying one of the other 2. That's Clock Tower 2, as I was saying. Basically, it was really just to get the manual, but no one wanted to sell the manual separate. So, yeah, this is like a really, really bizarre Clock Tower game, just because they've got a weird split personality sort of thing going on, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of a divisive among fans of the original, and of course I'm sure Clock Tower 3 is even more divisive, but a lot of the same little tropes and things going on with the characters. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of or seen Nightcry, but it's from the same creator, and they share a lot of the same themes. Which if you haven't, you should check it out. A friend of mine and I played through all of Nightcry, and I believe we got all the endings. Really fun game. It's on Steam, it's not expensive, it was kickstarted, and we actually really enjoyed it. So definitely check that out. Clock Tower series is great. This next one is really hard to read the cover. I almost feel like they forgot to add the actual texting in there. And this one always interested me because it's got Yoshitaka Amano cover art. And it looks like Terra from Final Fantasy VI. And that is Kartia, The World of Fate. This is a turn-based strategy game from Atlas. And, I mean, look at that cover art, man. I mean, you'll see an image up here somewhere. And the cover art's just, it's Terra from FF6. But it looks like a fun game. I like strategy games. I like RPG games, aggressively so. And I love almost everything Atlas puts out. And this is a single disc game, and they put it in this huge double disc packing. I don't understand that. I mean, Well, how big's the manual? Oh, it's a fat manual. That'll do it. Anyway, and the last thing I got for the PS1 was also from Atlas. Go figure. And I thought the cover looked fucking cool. It's weird. It's called Trap Gunner Countdown to Oblivion. From what I could tell, this is basically like a you know how Overwatch is a hero shooter? This is like a hero Bomberman game. Like, you pick specific characters and you're running around on weird grid systems and arenas, planting bombs and traps to try and destroy your enemies. I mean, it looks like a lot of dumb fun. And look at that cover! Oh, that cover's so cool. I love it. Especially the fire in the background. That looks terrible, actually. Don't look at that. But, so those were what we got for the PS1 this last year. I think... yeah, all of the PS1 games were basically my purchases. Let's see, though. Don't worry, you'll see plenty of stuff that my wife got, too, in here. Next, let's move on to Dreamcast. This was basically picking up weird fillers that I should have had, but didn't. And this first one here I'm going to show is Blue Stinger. It is a Resident Evil-style game, sort of, kinda. It's a tank control horror shooter, and I really like those games. I don't know why I love those games. It could be because I was traumatized at the age of 7 when my mother let me rent and play Resident Evil 2, which subsequently had me hooked on the franchise for the rest of my life. Anyway, so yeah, Blue Stinger. If I remember right, this actually... I feel like this had light gun support, but I feel like I'm crazy in thinking that too, so I don't know. It doesn't advertise it on there, but I think that's because I don't think Sega ever released their official one for the Dreamcast over here. Any hoozle. Next was one that I kind of should have gotten earlier, because I could see that the price was starting to go up, and it just kept going up, and this last year I bought it. And that is Egg, which stands for Elemental Gimmick Gear. It's a weird style, kind of a weird... hand-drawn, isometric-looking action RPG in a mech suit. It's very strange. This cover art looks really bizarre, but the gameplay looked solid and looked fun. And a lot of Hudson games are starting to get harder and harder to get. I think it's because there are some people that are collecting them simply because Konami bought Hudson and then does absolutely nothing with the properties. Which is stupid, but leave it to Konami anymore. I really want them to do well. So yeah, Elemental Gimmick Gear. This next one, the case is kind of beat up, but I plan to fix that. Is an odd one that I hadn't heard of before a couple years ago, and that's called Silver. This is almost a Diablo-style action RPG, almost. And I say that because it's got the isometric-style angling, but it's a hack-and-slash RPG, and it's not necessarily, like, I don't know. If you don't use a mouse and click repetitively, I don't feel like it's Diablo-style, but the isometric style is what it is. And the backgrounds look great. I mean, this cover looks like garbage, because there's way too much shadow casting on the character, and it looks so uninteresting because of it. But the actual game itself looks pretty good, so I'm kind of excited to get into that when I do. And our last Dreamcast game is basically B-movie greatness. Zombie Revenge. It's basically an arcade-style beat-em-up slash shoot-em-up. Like, it's really weird how to describe it. But it's campy as hell and B-movie fun, and who doesn't love that, right? I mean, it's like saying you don't like Bruce Campbell. If you say you don't like Bruce Campbell, you're a liar. That man is hilarious. Next, we're going to go through the DS games, which 4 of these are actually my wife's purchases. I feel like she didn't get a whole lot this year. That's kind of weird. Oh, wait, I remember why. Because some of these are incredibly expensive. But this first one was one I wanted to get. and that is Advance Wars Days of Ruin. The series kind of disappeared after this game, which is really unfortunate. They wanted to take a little bit more of a, I want to say, realistic approach to it, in the fact that the story is a little bit darker in tone, which kind of is what war is. War is not a pleasant thing, so having happy-go-lucky sights kind of... I don't want to... What's the word? I can't think of the word. Desensitize. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It kind of desensitizes, or... Pardon me, devalues what war actually is. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. But the darker tone and approach is, like, interesting to me. And the artwork for the characters and everything, it looks really familiar. I can't pinpoint who it was who did it, but I really like the artwork. And I like strategy games, so I figured I should probably get this, because I know the Advance Wars games are good. This next one is one that my wife was wanting to get, and this is probably the most expensive of the DS games, I believe. Yep, hands down. And that would be Avalon Code. We have actually been looking for this one for a couple of years, but we could never find it at the show, like, ever. And this last year we spotted it at Video Game Wizards, and then we realized, and remembered partially too, that the game had been climbing in price when we were looking for it, and this game was not cheap, but it is a really fun game. I mean, the cover is beautiful, it's got a lot of great color, and the game just, it looks like a lot of dumb fun to have, man. I mean, I shouldn't say dumb. Dumb fun is Zombie Revenge. This isn't dumb. So, and it's from Marvelous and Xseed, and I like a lot of what Marvelous puts out, so it's probably a game I'll even pick up and play at some point. This next one my wife wanted to get, and actually for some reason I thought we had it and we didn't. And that is Fullmetal Alchemist Dual Sympathy. Which, like everything that had a DS game, Dual Sympathy, DS. So Fullmetal Alchemist DS. This I think came out around the same time that the PlayStation 2 games were being a thing, which was, what was it? Broken Angel and Curse of the Crimson Elixir, I think, were the two PS2 games. Which were all fun in their own way too. The second one being a superior game overall. But this is a fun kind of versus brawler kind of game. So I've played it before, but I never got it, I guess. Now we have it. So that and Fullmetal Alchemist is fantastic. Watch the anime, please. Do yourself a favor and do that. This next one was entirely me. I wanted this super hard and super bad. And that's because I really, really like Hideo Kojima. And this is Lunar Nights. This is a sequel to I believe it was a Game Boy Advance game. It actually had a solar sensor on it, encouraging you to play outside in the sun to actually gain sun energy or solar points or whatever to do better damage and stuff to the enemies in the game. This game looks like a lot of fun. The art's very bright and colorful, and I'm sure the story is absolutely shenanigans, just like everything else Kojima does, and that's fine with me. So, yeah. Lunar Nights. This next one here is a launch game for the DS. I also thought we had this, and I was very mistaken. And it's a puzzle game called Pokemon Trozei. I remember the commercials for this game. It was kind of weird. It was 4 in a row, and you're good to go. Yeah, I don't know. I like puzzle games. My wife likes puzzle games, and I think I played this when we got back to the hotel room after we bought it. I just sat down and played this for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Puzzle games are fun, man. So next up here is a kind of an underknown series, I guess. I don't want to say underappreciated because I don't know how appreciated it is, but it's not exactly a well-known series. Spectral Force Genesis. We got Spectral Force 3, I believe, on the 360? Oh, man. I can't remember any of the stuff on this, but this artwork is really good. The cover's great. It's an RTS strategy game for the DS, which I don't think there's a whole lot of real-time strategy games on the DS, making this a really interesting one, so just for that reason alone. And my wife really likes Idea Factory, and I believe Idea Factory was the developer on this. So that's, I think, going to be a good purchase. We're going to circle back around to Dumb Fun now, because I remember this game, and I had forgotten about it, and it makes me mad that I had forgot about it, because it's such a weird, dumb little kind of shovelware game, but it's really, really fun. Touch the Dead. I mean, it's Night of the Living Dead, the DS. It's a rail shooter, and you tap your DS screen to shoot. This is a lot of fun, man. I mean, oh man, the saving though. Oh, saving in this game is terrible. But it's a lot of fun to play, so I didn't pay much for it. I mean, if you can find this, it's really not expensive, but it's a really, really fun way to kill like an hour or so, man. So I definitely say pick that up if you get the chance. And now we're going to move on to our PlayStation 2 games, which, wow, 3 are mine and 2 are my wife's. Okay, 3.5 are mine. My decision. Not really decision. We both kind of agree that we wanted it. So the first one I'm going to show up here is the Ace Combat Zero, the Belkin War. Ace Combat's known for being really good, like, third-person style, of course, but combat flight sims. And I really liked Ace Combat 6 on the 360. I kind of want to get the whole joystick and throttle system for the 360 version. And these all take place in a fictional world, so it's like whatever, but they're super political sounding, all of their segments and cutscenes. But all the planes handle and feel very different, and that's always a plus, making you really want to be specific and, well, not specific, carefully choose what planes you actually fly in different missions. Because some of them will have a greater benefit to you than others. But I like the Ace Combat games, so I figured I should probably pick all of them up, even though I'm working super hard backwards on that. And the next one, because they keep changing things, and they felt the need to release it with a subtitle now, Armored Core 2 Another Age. I absolutely love Armored Core for Answer. It's probably my favorite Armored Core game, because they super emphasize speed in that game. But this one, Another Age added a bunch of bonus missions and such, and I never played any of the PS2 Armored Cores, but I played the hell out of the PS1 Armored Core, so getting this was like a, duh, I need to fill it out. I want to get all of them at this point, especially because I remember Armored Core 5 being terrible, and I rebought it when it was released as Verdict Day, because I want to give it another chance. I really, really want it. I want it to be better than I remember it being really bad. And to continue along with the Armored Core thing, Last Raven. Armored Core Last Raven. What did they change in this one? So this is one that they have in here that's very interesting. I don't know how many other games had it, but destructible parts. So basically, if an enemy is targeting a certain ligament, they can damage it to the point of you not being able to use that stuff. I really like games that let you do that. That's actually one of the best things about the Front Mission series that I really like, is their destructible parts, affecting the way battles go and changing how you have to adapt in battle. I mean, I really like that setup. So, another Armored Core, need to get. Next up is the one that my wife wanted to fill out a collection on, and that is the most bland cover of all time, Atelier Iris 3. The Atelier games, I don't really like that they're like the emphasis on, oh, you have to do this mixing task by this time or else. I don't like that kind of a setup, but as a turn-based RPG, it's fun. My wife, again, wanted to complete these out. God, this cover is terrible, man. I mean, if this game didn't sell well, the cover is why. It bothers me. But, again, you know, turn-based combat's a lot of fun. If you like RPGs, Atelier Iris is definitely one of the oddball ones to take a look at. Now, this is an awesome cover. And it's a turn-based strategy mech game. But it's a dating sim. Sakura Wars, so long, my love. This came out also on the Wii. Oh, mother... Boy, we should have thought that one through. I thought there was a manual here. I'll have to track down the manual for this. Either I lost it, or we neglected to make sure it had it. Released by NIS America, and developed by Red Entertainment, it looks like? I don't know. The mechs kind of look like gigantic, old-fashioned, old-timey scuba suits, which looks really neat. And it's, again, a dating sim, so you've got a number of girls you can woo. And they're all also mech fighters, and they're all in their mech fighter gear on the cover. It's actually a really nice cover. It makes you think this is just straight up an anime, which I think they did get an anime at some point. Don't quote me. But yeah. So, one more game for the Wii. And that is Secret Files Tunguska. So, I like point-and-click adventure games, and this one very much so reminded me of the Siberia games, which I recently played through the first Siberia game, and I enjoyed it, although the ending was really bizarrely abrupt. So, I kind of wanted to keep the trend of, like, kind of a dark and, like, moody kind of thing, because I really like, dark as in horror-inspired, and this cover kind of screams that, but I don't know how much of it is horror-related. But it's a point-and-click adventure game, and like the overall gameplay reminded me a lot of Siberia from what I saw, so I figured I'd pick it up. And this is actually a port of a PC game, and the Wii remote kind of made like the perfect analog for the mouse for the game. So I'm kind of excited to see how that ends up playing out. I should probably make sure that... No, my Wii U works fine. I'm crazy. Ignore that. Anyway, so those were our pickups from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo in 2017. We didn't completely blow our load, if you will, because we kind of picked up the little things that, you know, we just wanted to kind of spread it out. We're trying to limit ourselves to not just buying 3 items or whatever at the show that are super expensive or hard to get. We're trying to space it out a little bit and fill in gaps as we go. And honestly, we're basically done getting all the like really hard to find stuff that we wanted to get. So now it's just filling in the little odds and ends, the things that look interesting to us. Speaking of looking interesting to us, did any of these games look interesting to you? If you have any comments on these games, please leave them down below. I mean, I'm curious to see if you guys have played them, and if you have, what your thoughts were on them. I'm sure there's a number of people who think some of these games are absolute garbage, and I haven't played them yet, so I couldn't tell you. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all of our latest videos, ranging from reviews and pickups to Let's Plays. And of course, you know, if you're interested, why not check out another one of my videos? Hey! Anyway, till next time, guys, we'll see you.